An MI6 Black Ops team, including Agent Hattie Shaw, is on a mission to retrieve a programmable virus nicknamed Snowflake from a techno-terrorist organization called Edeon. The agents burst in, take out the Edeon agents, and Hattie retrieves Snowflake from its case. But just then, former MI6 agent and cybernetically enhanced Edeon agent, Brixton Lore, interrupts them nonchalantly, even with guns pointed at him. He analyzes the agent's threat potential before swiftly beating them down, even blocking shots with his hand. He charges at Hattie, who locks herself inside a truck. She gets behind the wheel and tries to take off under gunfire, but ends up flipping the truck on its side. Before Brixton can get to her, she injects herself with Snowflake as a last-ditch effort and escapes. Brixton then reports over MI6 comms that Hattie stole the virus before killing the last agent. He then orders his men to keep Hattie on the run with nowhere to turn, while he plans to intercept her and retrieve the virus. We then meet DSS agent Luke Hobbs and former MI6 agent Deckard Shaw going about their daily routines. They both get calls for separate missions and head to their target locations. Shaw arrives at a high-end party in London, while in LA Hobbs gets to a Chinese karaoke bar. Both men come face-to-face with their heavily guarded targets, but easily beat the men down with their skills. Hobbs kicks his target into a tattoo chair and holds a tattoo gun to his face, demanding to know more about supervirus chatter on the dark web. But the man knows nothing and gets "I love cops" tattooed on his forehead. Shaw hangs his target out a window by a rope, demanding to know about Edeon. His target has no information and gets left hanging out the window. Afterwards, Hobbs has lunch with his daughter Sam, congratulating her for getting all A's on her report card. She is currently working on a family tree for social studies, but doesn't know much about her family. She shows him a photo she found of her dad and his older brother Jonah, but Hobbs seems hesitant about talking about his family and tells her he is all she needs. Meanwhile, Shaw goes to visit his criminal mother Magdalene in prison, scolding her for not escaping already. She asks him about his sister, Hattie, but Shaw hasn't spoken to her in a long time. Magdalene recalls how they used to be close growing up and urges him to reach out to her, as she looks up to him as an older brother. He is not keen to reach out to her, but Magdalene hopes when she is free they both can be there to greet her. Their visitation is over, and she reveals she has broken out of her cuffs before she is taken away. Hobbs' lunch with Sam is interrupted by CIA agent Victor Locke, who reveals they are both after the Snowflake, a virus capable of liquefying anyone's internal organs. He explains how the virus ended up in the hands of Hattie, who has now gone rogue after reports are circulating that she wiped out her entire Black Ops team. There is also the scientist who created the virus, but he is also nowhere to be found and suspected dead. As Hobbs is known for his tracking skills, the agency wants him to find Hattie and retrieve the virus. Hobbs refuses, but Locke reveals the DSS already gave the go-ahead, and there is another operative waiting at a CIA black site to begin the mission. Hobbs works alone, but Locke tells him to put his ego aside for the sake of saving the world and saving Sam as well, so Hobbs accepts. Shaw is approached by a man he can already tell is a CIA operative. Shaw has no interest in talking to the CIA about anything until the agent, Loeb, shows him a photo of Hattie. He learns that she has stolen the Snowflake virus and is being hunted by MI6, but if Shaw helps the CIA and retrieve the virus for them, Hattie can receive immunity. Shaw accepts, and afterwards, Loeb contacts Locke, anticipating what will happen when both men meet. Meanwhile, Hattie is contacted by MI6 who demand she turn herself over, but she knows she will be killed, and she rigs her apartment to blow before leaving. Shaw and Hobbs come face to face, but refuse to work with each other. Shaw thinks Hobbs is a brute and has no finesse, while Hobbs thinks Shaw just knows how to blow things up. The two argue for a while and almost come to blows, but ultimately decide to work separately and see who can retrieve Snowflake first. Hobbs then begins tracking Hattie, who goes to a hotel where she steals a room key and changes into a disguise. Shaw arrives at Hattie's apartment, avoiding her booby traps and locating her hidden computer system to do some checks. Hattie is leaving the hotel when she runs into Hobbs, who warns her to stand down and quietly come with him. She politely refuses before attacking him with a biker helmet. She tosses everything she can find at him, but Hobbs tanks all her hits, insisting on arresting her. He manages to cuff one of her hands, but Hattie isn't done fighting and pulls Hobbs into a headlock. but he simply lifts her into the air, restraining her. Meanwhile, Shaw is going through Hattie's computer when Ideon agents come up behind him demanding he surrender, but Shaw kills one before launching his attack on the others, beating them down. The fight is brutal and the agents seem endless, but Shaw tanks all the blows and defeats all the agents, kicking one through the window. The fight knocks one of Hattie's grenades loose, but Shaw knocks out the last attacker before disarming the grenade. We then see Lore arriving at Ideon base for an upgrade. As he goes through the painful process, we hear the Ideon director revealing their plans to create a new species of tech humans with Lore as his first. Hobbs brings Hattie back to the CIA's safe house demanding the location of the virus, but she denies knowing where it is. He knows she didn't kill the agents from the way she fought, but the rest of the world does, so he cannot allow her to leave and warns her how dangerous the virus is. Hobbs gets a call from Sam, so he leaves a young CIA agent to watch Hattie. While Hobbs is talking to Sam, Hattie slips out of her cuffs and attacks the young agent and ends up disarming him. Hobbs ends his call to see Hattie free and tries restraining her. Just then Shaw enters the CIA safe house demanding that Hobbs release Hattie, revealing that she is his sister. Hobbs and Shaw begin arguing about what to do with Hattie, but she reveals to them the virus is embedded in capsules inside her hand. Suddenly, Ideon agents led by Lore burst through the window with gunfire before grabbing an unconscious Hattie and begin running down the side of the building. Hobbs and Shaw take out two Ideon agents, and while Hobbs uses the Ideon agents' grapple to descend, Shaw decides to take the elevator. Hobbs releases the grapple and free falls, taking out an agent. Hattie wakes and frees herself from Lore's grasp, causing them to fall onto a glass ceiling. And before he can grab her, Hobbs crashes through the ceiling, causing everyone to fall. Shaw gets to ground level and takes on the Ideon agents there, and Hattie uses the chaos to escape. Hobbs and Lore face each other, but Lore knocks him back with one punch. He then comes face to face with Shaw, and the two recognize each other, and we find out they were once colleagues until Shaw was ordered to kill him. Shaw tries to attack, but easily gets thrown back, so Hobbs tosses a grenade next to Lore, flipping a car onto him. Shaw picks up Hattie in his car, but Hobbs insists on going with them, and Shaw is forced to agree. Meanwhile, Lore easily tosses the car off himself and sends two Ideon agents to chase after Shaw while he goes to intercept. Shaw manages to stay ahead of the chasing agents in his supercar, with Hobbs letting off shots when he can. Lore is closing in on them, his superbike able to overcome any obstacle. He soon spots Shaw and manages to shoot a tire, but Shaw still pulls ahead. The other bikers speed towards them, but Hobbs grabs one off his bike through the car window. Two trucks almost cut them off, and Shaw makes it through, but so does Lore skillfully. He gains on them and manages to shoot out another tire, but Shaw pulls a blind U-turn on him, causing him to crash into a bus. Shaw escapes, and Lore swears to give them the war they're looking for. He returns to Ideon base where his team has hacked all news networks and begins broadcasting Hobbs and Shaw as dangerous terrorists. Hobbs, Shaw, and Hattie ditch the car in the city, but they soon see news reports with their faces posted. Shaw explains that Ideon is a tech cult with hopes of augmenting the human race and is willing to kill anyone who goes against their plans. Hobbs wants to head to the CIA safe house, but Shaw wants to take Hattie out of the city, causing an argument. Seeing they can't work together, Hattie plans to work alone to find someone who can remove Snowflake. So Hobbs shows her the scientist who created the virus, and they soon track him down. Lore speaks with the Ideon director, revealing his plans to eliminate Hobbs and Shaw and extract the virus from Hattie. The director demands the virus, but wants Hobbs and Shaw recruited into Ideon as they could be powerful assets. Lore doubts they can be turned, as the last time he tried to recruit Shaw he was shot in the head, but the director reminds him it was not a request. Hobbs calls Sam, telling her to stay at home as the CIA is monitoring her. Locke chimes in as he has been listening in on their call, and Hobbs thanks him for looking out. They ask the scientist, Andrico, about the virus and learn that in 42 hours the capsules will dissolve in Hattie's hand and become airborne and worldwide within a week. They wonder why he would create something so dangerous, and he explains that Ideon had contracted him to create the virus under the guise of creating an efficient vaccine medium. But Ideon reprogrammed it to be fatal to everyone against their cause. In order to reprogram the virus, the capsules must be removed, but there is only one way to remove them without killing Hattie. There is a machine capable of extraction being held in a heavily guarded Ideon facility in Ukraine, but Andrico warns they will all die. The three head back to Shaw's place where he begins working on getting them fake passports and biometric profiles. But when they get to the airport, Hobbs, who is going by the name Mike Oxmall, gets detained. Turns out Shaw did this on purpose as he thinks Hobbs would just be slowing them down. They are waiting to depart when Hobbs makes it back onto the plane, calling Shaw an a-hole. Meanwhile, Andrico gets to his car when Lore appears before him, flashing a devious smile. During the flight, Hobbs and Shaw begin to argue, which ends up waking up Air Marshal Dinkley, who tells them to quit. He figures out Hobbs is law enforcement and Shaw is a spy, revealing he is a former Marine and eager to join whatever action they have going on. The duo turn him down, so Dinkley leaves them his card. Andrico is taken back to Ideon headquarters and hung up by a chain down their range. Lore demands the snowflake be taken out of Hattie, threatening him with a flamethrower when he refuses to comply with the demands. Hobbs, Shaw, and Hattie land in Moscow and meet up with his ex-lover Margarita, who has intel on the Ideon facility containing the extraction machine. Hattie comes up with the plan to let herself get caught as she would be taken straight to the device. Then she would have the others infiltrate her location. Everyone agrees to the plan and Margarita provides them with their weapons, gadgets, and explosives for the upcoming mission. Margarita and her people present a bound Hattie to Lore, telling him she was alone, and Lore threatens to take her life if she is lying to him. He and his team head back to their facility, and Hattie is led to the device. Meanwhile, Hobbs and Shaw fly a jet to the facility, eject, and begin to dive, eventually landing inside a silo and infiltrating the building. Lore leads Hattie to the laboratory and orders Andrico to prepare her. Hobbs and Shaw plant an explosive set for 45 minutes and enter two different doors. While Hobbs takes out the lone Ideon agent facing him, Shaw is met by a small army of men, but he unleashes his fighting skills and drops all the men brutally. In the end, Hobbs' unconscious opponent gets him access out of the room, but Shaw is left smashing all his opponent's faces against the retinal scanner until he finds the right one. By the time they get out of the room, they are completely surrounded by Ideon agents and knocked unconscious. Hattie is strapped to a table for the procedure, but she manages to attack the two agents left to watch her, free herself, and grab the device, and Andrico decides to come with her. They come upon another lab, but Hattie swiftly takes out the agents there. Meanwhile, Hobbs wakes chained to a chair with Shaw also chained before him. Lore has batteries attached to their chairs and constantly runs an electric current through them. Lore recalls 8 years ago when Ideon approached both he and Shaw with data of how humanity's current trend would lead them to extinction and thinks Ideon's plan will save the world, with Snowflake being the necessary shock the world needs to change. Hobbs calls him a genocidal maniac, but he does not care. He then reveals that Ideon had contracted him to kill Shaw after he turned down their offer, and when Shaw shot him, it was a gift in disguise, turning him into Black Superman. He offers them both one last chance to join their organization, promising them the same kind of upgrades he has. Just then, Hobbs spots Hattie sneak into the room disguised as a lab worker, then tells Lore that they agree to join up. He then stalls them long enough, hinting to Shaw that their plan is in motion. Hattie then appears holding a gun to Lore's head, threatening to kill him. Her gun won't fire, but Andrico hits Lore with the flamethrower. Hobbs and Shaw use the commotion to break free and fight off the surrounding agents before jumping into a four-wheeler. They catch sight of Hattie and manage to pick her up. She has stashed the device inside another truck, so Hobbs jumps off and locates it. Shaw and Hattie then escape the facility under gunfire, with Ideon agents hot on their tail. Back at the lab, Lore kills Andrico, then uses Hobbs' truck to jump on his motorcycle, right before the base blows up. He then activates drones to chase after Hattie. Shaw is staying ahead of the agents, driving into a building just as Lore's drones catch up with them. Hobbs manages to take out one of the drones with his truck, while the other opens fire on Shaw, but he launches out of the building and shoots the drone mid-air, destroying it. The four-wheeler is damaged from the landing, so Shaw heads towards Hobbs, who takes out a fleet of cars with his truck. Just as Shaw is passing Hattie to Hobbs, Lore arrives and tries to grab her, but misses. He jumps back on his motorcycle, opening fire on Shaw, but he manages to launch himself onto the back of Hobbs' truck. Hobbs hands the wheel to Hattie and joins Shaw, as Lore also boards the truck. The three face off, but Lore is dropping them easily with his superhuman strength. Their previous chase is causing the entire facility to collapse, and a large tower soon comes crashing down, forcing Lore to abandon the fight. The three finally come to a stop, but the extraction machine has been damaged. Hattie wants to go with the first option as she is tired, but Shaw is determined to find another way as he cannot afford to lose his sister. They need to find a place to lay low, but have no idea where as the entire country is looking for them. Hobbs then reluctantly suggests that they visit his home country of Samoa. Dinkley arranges the flight for the team to Samoa, still insisting that he is available to join the team if they need backup, but the guys turn him down once more. Hobbs leads them to a compound, reluctantly knocks on the door. He is greeted by his older brother Jonah, who punches him back down the stairs, still angry that Hobbs has been missing for 25 years and now shows up as a wanted man. Before the two go at it, their mother breaks them up, happy to see her son again. Inside, Hobbs begs a reluctant Jonah to take a look at the extraction machine and to help him save the world, but Jonah is having none of it and begins chasing them out until their mom stops him, threatening them all with her slippers if they don't help their brother. Lore is back at Ideon headquarters getting repairs done, the director now agreeing that Hobbs and Shaw must be put down. His team soon tracks them to Samoa and are gearing up to head out. In Samoa, Hobbs and his family prepare themselves. He tells Hattie about his father's criminal history and how he recruited his sons to become his crewmates. However, when Hobbs realized his family was in danger, he turned his own father in and left the island. Jonah then shows them his custom car shop, revealing he eventually went clean and now has international clients. Hobbs plans to get them weapons, but all their guns have been replaced with tribal weapons by their mother, who hates guns. Shaw and Hattie note that they're in deep trouble, but they decide to use what they have to go to war. Everyone then begins to prepare. Jonah starts repairing the extraction machine. Shaw, Hobbs, and the brothers prepare explosives and traps, while Hattie hacks into an Ideon glove she grabbed and finds a way to jam their weapons, but only for a few minutes. Later, Hobbs joins Hattie as she watches the sunset. She regrets the time she wasted not connecting with her brother, as family is all she's got. Hobbs agrees, as he feels guilty how his daughter doesn't know her family, and the two make a promise to spend more time with their families. 30 minutes before the snowflake goes viral, Jonah is putting the finishing touches on the machine and activates the process, but they are then alerted to triggered alarms. As they head out, Hobbs apologizes to Jonah for leaving and promises to come around more once they get through this. Jonah accepts and the two embrace. Shaw has Hattie wear the extraction device, telling her to stay close in case they need to make a quick getaway. Just then Lore and his team of agents arrive on the island. Hobbs steps out to face them, shouting to his brothers in native Samoan to prepare themselves. Lore gives the order to fire, but his men's guns go offline. Hobbs then sets off an explosion, and Shaw sets fire to a gas trail surrounding the men and trapping them. Hobbs and his brothers then launch their attack, taking on the Ideon agents in a fierce battle. The brothers are decimating the agents, but Lore is putting up a fight against them. Hattie gets grabbed, but Shaw is right there to protect her, beating down the agents. Soon a gunship lands nearby, and a dazed Hattie tries to make her way through the battlefield, but Lore grabs her and brings her to the chopper. Shaw sees them and jumps into a wrecker with Hobbs jumping onto the back. Before the chopper can take off, Shaw launches the car, allowing Hobbs to attach a chain to the chopper. Shaw then begins to pull the chopper behind with the pilots struggling to lift. Lore gets fed up and tosses one pilot out, before managing to lift the chopper, leaving the truck on two wheels. At that moment, 3 other trucks pull up, attaching their chains to the trucks behind them, but barely keeping the chopper from lifting off. Lore tries to swing them over a precipice, but the cars then simultaneously hit their boosters, blowing the chopper's engine and getting back on the road. Ideon weapons come back online, and they begin to open fire, forcing the other cars to break loose. Shaw then leads the chasing cars through a booby-trapped field. The chopper almost breaks free, but Hobbs holds the chains with his immense strength before he manages to reattach the chain. Hattie fights off the agents inside the chopper, further damaging the chopper and causing it to fall, pulling the truck over the cliff. Lore is first to recover from the wreckage. He sees Hattie with 4 minutes left on the extraction machine and orders another agent to kill her once it is through. Hobbs and Shaw crawl out of a river calling for Hattie, but Lore steps up to face them. He warns that this is their end, but Hobbs and Shaw are ready to give him a fight. They both attack, but Lore is just too fast, able to predict their movements and counter them easily. He taunts them for being human, but Hobbs and Shaw still charge at him, until Hobbs manages to hit him over the head. The two then decide to coordinate their attacks. Hobbs takes a punch, allowing Shaw to land a hit, and they continue using this tactic until they begin to jump him, and Hobbs' body slams him onto a rock. Hattie manages to attack the agent guarding her just as the extraction is completed and knock him out. She then joins the two who are standing over a beaten Lore. Shaw regrets how Lore turned out, but refuses to kill him. The Edeon director then starts a self-destruct sequence inside Lore, and he soon falls into the sea dead. The director then hacks a nearby chopper, revealing that he and Hobbs know each other, and he plans to reunite with them soon.